Hi, welcome to Give Me the Bible, where God's Word speaks for itself. I want to talk briefly about some archaeological discoveries that have corroborated the biblical texts. And again, every one of these I mentioned, I encourage you to look them up on your own and look at them in more detail. But let's talk about the Nuzi tablets. The Nuzi tablets were discovered in 1925 in Iraq, and what they were a collection of clay tablets recording social customs of the period around 1500 BC. And what's amazing is the social customs recorded here are really the same as the social customs recorded in the Bible. So when you see strange behavior in the Bible, like for instance, Isaac being fooled by his son Jacob and giving him the blessing, and instead of just saying, "Oh, I was fooled, I'm just going to give it to Esau," well, he didn't revoke it. Well, the Nuzi tablets tell us that it was a custom that a verbal blessing like that was binding and could not be revoked. Okay, so that puts the Bible in light, and the Bible doesn't explain, hey, this is why we're behaving this way, because that's just what the custom was during that day, and the Nuzi tablets corroborate that, and many other of their behaviors. You also have slave prices throughout history. Slave prices throughout history have actually changed over time, and what's amazing is the Bible, when it mentions slave prices, it changes in the exact same way over time. For instance, in 1750 BC, slaves went for 20 shekels. Well, guess what? In Genesis 37, when Joseph is sold into slavery, he's sold for 20 shekels. Okay, and that goes up 300 years later in the law of Moses to 30 shekels. And that's the same way in history, and it just on and on you go. Okay, the silver scrolls. These were discovered in 1979 near Jerusalem. They contain a Bible passage from Numbers chapter 6, which is significant because most scholars thought, well, Numbers wasn't written until much later. But here we have a copy of Numbers chapter 6 from 600 BC. I mean, that is just significant because it shows that it was written much earlier. You also have these cities that were discovered, twin cities called Babad, Dura, and Numaira today, that were cities located right next to each other, and strangely, it seems they were both destroyed by fire at the same time. These cities are covered with a huge layer of sulfur, okay, and brimstone, and that they were dated to the time of Abraham. All right, archaeologists date these to Abraham's time. That sounds an awful lot like Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19. Also, the city of Jericho, when they when they excavated Jericho, they found that at some point Jericho's walls really did fall down, and not only that, but they fell outward. Okay, that's just odd because when a city is being attacked from the outside, walls fall inward, not outward. And not only that, but it seems strange because they found huge stores of grain and wheat underneath the city, which is also odd because when a city was being sieged, usually it was being starved. So this implies that Jericho actually fell rather suddenly and the walls fell. Sounds a lot like Joshua chapter 6 and what happens in the Bible. You have the black obelisk, which is a large stone, okay, written on by Shalmaneser, a king of Assyria, around 840 BC, and he records the account of Jehu, king of Israel, okay, that the Bible talks about, paying tribute to him. Okay, this is just really remarkable. You have the Moabite stone. This records Mesha, king of Moab, his rebellion against Israel in 2 Kings chapter 3, 25 through 27, or 5 through 27. And the Moabite stone is basically Mesha's record of the rebellion. He mentions Israel and God and the house of David. All right. He also mentions Omri, king of Israel. You have Sennacherib's prison. Okay, Sennacherib's prism, discovered in 1830 in Nineveh. This was written by Sennacherib, talking about how he besieged the city of Jerusalem and how he caged King Hezekiah up like a caged bird. We read about that in 2 Kings 18 and Isaiah 36. You have the Cyrus cylinder, dated back to 500 BC, where Cyrus, king of Persia, talks about allowing the Jews to return home to Jerusalem. That's found in 2 Chronicles 36 and Ezra chapter 1 and Isaiah 44 and 45. I mean, all of these things just corroborate what the Bible talks about. These things are giving credence to real events and real people taking place in real history, and the details of the Bible are only shown to be accurate with each of these archaeological discoveries. And that was only 10 things we talked about. There are plenty of other archaeological discoveries that continue to give credence to the Old Testament details. I hope that that's helpful. Lord willing, I'll see you next time.